Hello.
And good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to this final interview. The As we've done an exploration of the three previous characters, we are now with the last and not the least in any way. We are going to examine, get to know a bit about Gale Procella. So, Emmy, let's start with the first question, which is who is Gale?
So, for those who watched, you know. For the others, Gil is a water genasi cleric of Tempest. So that's her basically in a nutshell. And for wider information, she is originally from Lil Kalimshan, next or into Baldur's Gate, depending on how you see the geographic situation of that city. And she has served as a mercenary on uh, as a priest and healer and combatant in a mercenary company, the Bronze Sails, for the majority of her life now.
Hmm. So you mentioned Little Kalimshan, you
Yeah.
mentioned Little Kalimshan off of Baldur's Gate. Um, so is how did you come up with the character? What was the idea behind the character?
So originally, I wanted to play a cleric because that was a class that I hadn't tried yet. So,
And since then you've played a few.
and since then I've played a few. Well, it's quickly becoming one of my favorite classes actually. As in, it's a fun class. It's very versatile. It allows a lot of role play and combat opportunities. So yeah, I find it a well balanced and interesting class.
Yeah, and when we looked to into you had decided Tempest because we were next to the water and that whole thing.
Yeah.
And you chose Valkyr, which is not a very well known god.
No, I think he's referenced as a lieutenant of Tempus.
Hmm.
So he's an under god of Tempus. Yeah, it's actually difficult to find a god linked to the Tempest domain who isn't inherently evil.
Yeah, we're looking at you, Umberly. Uh,
And I didn't want to play an evil cleric. It wasn't going to mesh well with the other characters. It wasn't going to mesh well with the with no. Rune would never have tolerated an evil cleric in his party.
yeah, that's fair. Um, so let's transition because you're talking about the rest of the party. So for those who have not witnessed the Waterdeep campaign, what is I know there's a few, but let's have a look. So what's one or several key moments that you believe that helped you get to know Gale and sort of construct her?
Interesting. I think with Gil, it was more of a progression of seeing how the interactions with the other members of the group meshed. Um, Gil has a very fluid side, as in, sh- hey, I'm sorry if it goes with the character.
She's a water genasi. She's fluid.
She's
Yeah, it that makes sense.
uh, she's not a cleric on a crusade to convert everyone. She is very tolerating, be it of other beliefs, be it of other convictions. Um, she has her beliefs and her convictions, certainly, but she won't try to have anyone follow her under. She won't even. It's not under duress or force, but she won't even try to convince them that she's right. She she believes that if you follow a cause, a belief, or
Mm.
something, it is from you, and so you cannot try to convince someone to follow something else that what he or she believes in. They believe in uh, because you have to find your path for yourself, basically. So
Yeah.
in that
So
part, she's
okay.
probably a bit atypical as a cleric.
Well, not necessarily. Volker is very much about uniting its people first, right? It's about he's not a god of the sea. He's a god of sailors. He's protecting
Yeah.
sailors. So, if anything, he's the shield between the mortals and Umberlee. Um, but so yeah, you mentioned about who she is and what she isn't and what she stands for. Very much
Hmm.
bringing, in a sense, that mercenary code. I think Gale had that conversation with Salida a couple of times as
Yeah.
to you have a mercenary code. I respect that, but but I will expect you to obey the letter of the law. As in, I will expect you to be there.
Yeah,
Um,
it was that way, and also my companions don't always understand that concept, but
yeah, it's one of those things where, but what I'm interested as well is,
key
um,
moments. Yeah, so yeah, I deviated a bit from that, but
no worries.
uh, because I don't think she had a lot of key moments, whether in the Waterdeep campaign or not. Maybe a bit more in Chulta now.
Hmm.
In the Waterdeep campaign, it was very much progression. So yeah, I had I enjoyed a lot the little snippets of the docks of Waterdeep.
Hmm.
Those really brought a concrete example of what Gil was doing and how she was working and what the cleric of Valkur
Hmm.
meant. And then, yeah, meeting spoilers.
Go.
Spoilers for the Waterdeep campaign for anyone watching.
Yes, yes, they
Uh,
know that. They're going to
yeah.
be noting. Yes, who did you meet?
uh, Seeing how we described the mercenary group, the Bronze Sails,
Hmm.
meeting that young bronze dragon
Right.
in the harbor was also something that was very defining and very uh, that unlocked something of her character. Let's say it that way. And then, yeah, there's another episode still in the harbor, and that's with the giant shark monstrosity.
Yes. Yes, where you basically ordered a awakened shark to take a bite out of a mechanical crab driven by a pair of drow, by a couple of drow, yeah, to make sure the Storm of Galore got back into your hands. That was pretty epic, and it was so epic that we actually had you evolve your trident. So your trident of
Yeah,
fish command became Tide's Will.
tides will.
And who could have guessed that random roll I'm going, oh, this will give you temperate. um, the temperate this
Condition.
condition, and this was before we decided to go into
Chult.
Chult, and I was just, yeah, okay, this won't have much incidents, and it's now allowing you to
Were
walk
heavy.
freely with heavy armor in the jungles of Chult. It's just, yeah, the dice tell the story, I guess. Um, yeah, and actually, you've improved it more
Yes,
as there is a piece of that bronze dragon in the
a
pommel,
scale.
a
Yeah.
scale within Tide's Will, which now deals electrical damage, which you haven't really used in recently.
Uh,
I can't remember Gale
no.
going up.
No, that's true. Well, Rune is dealing so much damage, and I'm basically in the front line to be more tanking materials. But between my Spirit Guardians and the other spells I can throw, yeah, I'm not sure that a material weapon is still very needed at some point as a cleric.
Well, I don't know.
I
You
mean,
you you were a warcaster, if I believe correctly.
yeah.
No,
No, I don't.
you don't have
No, I
warcaster.
don't. So either I throw spells or I have my trident in my hand. Except if my
No,
trident can become my casting,
yeah,
my
we had
focus.
we had
Yeah, I
decided
think
that your trident would
was my
be
focus.
was your focus, as it is basically a holy symbol of Valkyr.
Yeah.
Um, so, what is one thing that you would like to develop um, in this particular campaign? What would you like to explore about Gale's character?
Mm. Well, we haven't talked a lot of her about her background yet.
Mm-hmm.
It has come up a little bit. Rune has a few keys. Her real name has come up
Yes,
in form of an
a wanted poster.
wanted poster. But yeah, my crew at least don't have a lot more information. Well, Gil, Sosha, and Heinrich don't even know there there is a wanted poster with uh, a portrait of a very young Gale.
Mm-hmm.
So
So is there? We're not getting into spoiler territory yet. That'll
no,
come in a few
no,
minutes.
no,
But
no. They heard that part when
yeah.
Rune and I talked about it. So
But what is it? What is it? What would you like to? Because backstory is one thing, but is there any aspect of her you would like to develop?
Well, I like where we're going with Inete right now, where I feel like Gil is serving not really as a big sister, but definitely can give Inete some pointers.
A counselor, a school
Yeah,
counselor,
counselor.
a
Yeah,
cleric counselor. Yeah.
counselor. I like that part. Um, she stays away. She won't get cozy with Eku because, I mean, let's be real. She okay, she's walked on this earth for who knows how long. Well, she knows how long, and she still is a celestial being. So, yeah, it's good she's with us. Gil will certainly respect her, but yeah, hello. Nice to meet you. And if Gil had wanted to meet celestial beings, get closer to Gil has never become a cleric with the intention of greatness or meeting beings of powers and so on. She
She's
she
down to
decided
earth.
she's yeah way more down to earth than that. She chose a clergy without official worship grounds. She chose a clergy where there is no official head of any kind of temple or so on. She chose a clergy who is known amongst the sailors,
Mm.
but not amongst the rich or the grand. She never had any donations or anything. She's a very down to earth and bless you.
Yes, she's
She's very down to earth and is not looking for
friendly. Yeah,
advancement.
friendly
Being
dockside cleric.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, divine beings and so on.
It's
It's
yeah.
nice to know that you're on our side, but I won't come and have any requests. Well, she won't have any
Mm.
requests or anything. Not,
So
no.
what is a motivation for before we get into the spoilers? What is the motivation behind Gale's because we've seen Gale. I mean, you're talking about Gale is now level 7. She can bring in
Mhm.
storms. She can bring in quite a few things. What is I guess what's her motivation behind it? Is it
Gil is a being of. It's protection first.
mhm.
I think if you have to break her down, uh, she doesn't do a lot of healing in the end. She'd rather be the one who takes the damage than having to heal someone who takes damage. So
Yeah, I guess that's the question is between if you have the opportunity to end the villain or to heal a friend, what would you go for?
oh, and the threat.
And the threat.
Later.
Okay, yeah. So Gale is still very much a deal with the you stay bleeding on the ground. I'll get to you in a second.
I I'm going to say uh, it's security first.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Once everything is secure, then you can start to heal.
Okay.
Because well, there's no reason to start healing when they're still gonna take damage.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, get rid of the threat and then you can heal. So yeah, no, but Gil's motivations are well, she joined the crew because she was basically crewless.
Mhm.
She had just stepped off of a bronze sail ship because she couldn't go to Baldur's Gate where they were going
Sh-
next. Sorry. And so she joined the crew and then ended up realizing that she had adopted them as a new family.
mm.
Be- that went slowly because Gail is a very cautious person when it comes to
Yeah,
new families.
it was I have to say those beginnings where you had Sorsha who was basically paranoid for good reason. You've had you who were very prudent. You had Heinrich who was naive, and then you had Rune who's going, I don't know anybody, but I'm guessing I'll stick with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, the beginnings were a bit yeah. Uh, it depends. It's always. I think it's always like that when you don't create a crew who has an origin story
Hmm.
together. You always need that time of adaptation of okay, but how are we going to function together? How close are we getting? How
Which is now why all of my games you know each other and you've known each other for at least months. Is there anything you'd like to add before we get into the spoilers? Then
no?
spoilers it is. So, if you, my other three players, are watching, you can cut the feed now. If you are not one of my players, stay along and listen. Um, so, what is one thing that um, one thing that you would want to have revealed in this campaign, but that the other players or the other crew don't know yet, that we have not seen yet?
Probably the cause of her profound hatred? No, it's not hatred. Gil is actually too wise to keep on hating, but she loathes the Flaming Fist.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, hating. Seeing the cause of the incident, she wouldn't hate them because she understands the principle of justice
What
that they're
happened?
going on. Well, and that's actually Gil's backstory.
Hmm.
So basically, Gil was a young teenager when she accidentally in a riot killed an officer of the Flaming Fist.
Right, which led to your
To
running away from Baldur's Gate, and
yes,
yeah, and which means that there is a wanted poster of you somewhere.
yes,
Well, in your bag, actually.
yeah.
But most
and
patrols,
probably and probably in the pockets of other officers.
yeah. Um, I'm kind of wondering if if I should have you run into another Flaming
Flaming
Fist
Fist
patrol
patrol.
and have, I don't know, somebody else looting the body coming in with. But we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
how things run along. Okay.
And so she doesn't hate the Flaming Fist, but she loathes the way they behave and the way that they're a mercenary company who basically took power in Baldur's Gate over the small people, at least.
Yeah, they're a
They,
mercenary company that do
who's-
not follow the code of mercenaries
yeah,
anymore. Yeah.
yeah. And so that's one thing. And the other thing is, yeah, we could go further into her psychological makeup,
Hmm.
as in, yeah, there's also a reason, and it's a completely different reason why she completely why she thinks that the Order of the Gauntlet is uh
Yeah, I we had this discussion because when you're living together, we have these things. We do discuss D&D outside of the podcasts. Um, I felt interesting that Gale is on the matter of honor and mercenaries. She's very much right in the center between the Order of the Gauntlet, who are very much justice for all, even if you do not believe, if you don't like it, we will bring you justice, kicking and screaming. Um, there's that what was it? Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad who said, "I love peace so much, and I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get to it." And that's very much the gauntlet.
Gauntlet. Yeah,
And then you have the other is with the flaming fist, which are, you know what, we're strong enough, we're you know, might
we
is
have
right.
protection.
Might is right, and you're right there in the middle where you're going, no, might is right, but I will defend. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Um,
So yeah,
um, but
she.
one thing that I would like, I don't know if it was mentioned, if the rest of the crew, but do the rest of the crew know her who she is? Was that brought up?
Um, I think at the end of Waterdeep, I ended up telling them.
So if they're not, well, this it's in the spoilers, but
Yeah,
the main the founding
the founder
the
of
founder of the
yeah
brass of the bronze
Bronze
sails
Sails
is a bronze
is
dragon.
yeah.
And that I remember in your creation we had discovered. Is it brass and then it'd be a djinn, or is it bronze and then it'd
Bronze
be
a dragon.
a dragon? And so we decided on the dragon. And folks, look up the statistics for bronze dragons, and you will actually understand quite a bit about Gale. Um, as in, you fight for a cause as long as it's right. But you do
Yeah.
fight. Any last words before we?
Um, I hope this was interesting.
Fair enough. We still have a lot. You still have a lot to
To
discover.
yeah,
To a lot to
I'm
so.
I'm curious about a lot of hints we just had in the Orlunga part
Uh huh.
with the sage, and I think the next item on our list is to bust some red wizards, red dressed wizards, right?
That is quite possible. Who knows what hides in the marshes and the jungles of Chult.
Actually, I would I would appreciate it to actually to finally fight some undead because you went
Oh,
whole cinematic scene the last time.
oh,
I know.
oh! I've got
I
you,
might
sister.
live to
Sorry, sister.
regret those words, but I have an item on my cleric list that I still haven't gotten, and that is to use a child divinity to turn undead.
Well, stay a while, listen, same channel, same time somewhere. We upload irregularly. I think our next well, I think we're playing next week,
Yeah,
as we're recording this. So
I
don't
I
worry,
know
it's
we're going.
coming. It is
I know we're
coming.
going into a zone
Remember
of
those words.
undead. Yeah, I know. I
Um.
might live to regret them, but
Anyhow, on that note, if you're still watching, thank you for watching. As I mentioned, uh, we're getting close to Omu soon enough. So this was the last of the 4 interviews. I hope they were interesting. If you have additional questions for each of the players, put them in the comments, and we'll just address them on on screen. Um, until then, well, enjoy, and we'll talk to you soon. That's
bye.
us. Bye.